In addition, there is
Sorry, forgot about that part.
No problem. There's summer programming happening through the district. If you are interested, I know that there was signups, they were due a few weeks ago, but I think it's possible. Reach out if there's something you want. We don't have any locations that are super close to Houston though. The summer programs are not like super duper close, but the summer program is an option if you want your child to attend. So take a look at the school district website for that. Thank you for coming to the HSA general meetings, the last meeting of the school year, and we will try to make this a relatively quick one. Next slide, please. Sorry, I don't know if I can move the slides. I don't think so. So first thing on deck, we just have a couple of like high level hotspot things to run through. The library fundraiser, we are working on raising funds for the library. We talked to Principal Hall about what things we should kind of like keep working on. The library fundraiser was one of them. It's being recorded. So for those who aren't aware, we are working on doing some renovations inside the library, new furniture, revamping sort of what the library looks like, the layout and things like that, and making sure that the library is kind of spruced up and nice for our students, because we have these lovely library volunteers and we have a library and everybody is not in position to have such a thing. And we want to make sure that we make it a great usable space for our teachers and our students. Emily, if you could talk just a smidge more about the library fundraiser and what we are trying to do and what we need.
Yeah, thank you. So like a lot of things this year, I we have a Facebook Messenger that has a couple people who volunteered to help with the library fundraising, and then I feel like I kind of dropped the ball a little bit on that. So that's how it feels right now. But I feel like we can reinvigorate that once the kids are out of school. Hey, we're hanging on by a thread here. I'm sure there are others are too. So hopefully some capacity I know that it will for me because my kids are going to camp. So I will have some capacity opening up. And I think it'd be great to do some library fundraising over the summer. And if there are more people or you can recruit more people, we have like 3 to 4 people on the committee right now. It'd be great to get a couple more people just so we can kind of divvy up that effort. It always makes it easier with more people. And really, we want to do some neighborhood fundraising, like talk to some of the businesses along Germantown Avenue and at other places within Mount Airy and within our catchment. We did hit up families like right before the pandemic, and we'll try to do a fundraiser that way as well. But I'd love to see what the community can do outside of Houston, and just get kind of creative with that fundraising effort. So if anyone wants to help or you want to recruit some people, please do. We'd love more help on this. And this isn't I feel like this is a short-term thing. It would be awesome. And this is kind of a tall order, but it would be so great if we could do some fundraising over the summer and at least start getting that place revamped before the school year. Especially, I was thinking about this today. That entire first floor is getting gutted and redone, like all the K-3 classrooms. They're getting all new furniture, they're getting everything. And then the library is going to be, maybe we'll get some of the, we should think about that actually. What's happening with the old furniture? There was some nicer stuff in some of those classrooms that maybe we could use. And instead of investing, like if those classrooms are getting all new furniture, I know that Miss Frida messaged me and she's giving us a bunch of like chairs, like some bouncy ball chairs and some wobble chairs and stuff like that for the library, which would be awesome. But maybe there's a way we can switch some of the stuff out into the library, or maybe it's going into the, the second floor or wherever, but something to think about. And yeah, definitely would love more help. Or if you just have ideas on fundraising, or someone who's good at fundraising, not something I have expertise or really experience in. So I know we have a couple people on the committee already who are much better at it and have some great ideas. We just need a little bit more manpower, I think.
Yep. Awesome. We really appreciate everybody's sort of input and everybody doing what they have, number one, capacity to do, and also doing the things that they are passionate about. So if library is something you're passionate about, or you know someone in the community who is, please put them in touch with us. Our email will show up at the end of this meeting, but put them in touch with us, and we would love to collaborate with folks around the library to give our students an awesome experience. Next slide, please. Playground status. So the playground was just ahead of this. The playground was closed for some, I forget what Principal Hall said, something around renovations around the swings or something they did. Hold on, I'm gonna look for his email. It was closed over the Memorial Day, over the last weekend.
Monique, it was the rubber mat
The
underneath
rubber
the
mat.
swing.
Thank you. I knew it was
I
like, I was
actually
like, there
wanted
was
to go
something
look at
there.
it today and I forgot, but that
But
was what he
yes,
said.
but it is open and accessible and all of that, but it was closed to replace the rubber mat. And Emily, playground status, I'm not sure you said that, and then I couldn't remember what we were supposed to say about that. So Emily, what else about the playground?
Sorry.
It's open.
Okay, so okay, the playground status is this. The playground is kind of starting to fall apart. We need to fix it and or renovate it. And so there has been an effort started by one of the parents in the first grade class to do that. They're looking into, I'm just going to try to be real short about this, but there's a couple moving parts here. They're looking into getting a grant from the city of Philadelphia with the water department to do like stormwater diversion, because we have a lot of hardscape on the playgrounds. And then they're also looking into like a large fundraising campaign to help renovate and or fix the existing playground. So we are at a point where there's a couple consultants working on this. We're in talks with the school district of Philadelphia. Things are moving forward, and we need to make sure that the voices of the Houston community are being heard. So we're asking for like 2 parent volunteers and or the students are in the upper grade. So like the 6th to 8th graders can have student representatives talking about what they want. They're old enough to kind of do that. And then parent 2 for each grade band. So 2 parents from K to 2, 2 parents from 3 to 5, and a mixture of parents or students for 6 to 8. Then we're going to have a bunch of the teachers, like Mr. Coleman's going to be involved, Mr. Day, obviously Principal Hall, Miss McKenzie, and the HSA. I think will probably kind of do double duty as some of these parent representatives, and then also the HSA. So we're kind of making a committee at this point. And so if you want to volunteer for that, let us know. If you're in one, if you have kids in those grade bands. So, that's kind of where we are with that. And just one of the things we're always discussing as the HSA is making sure that all this work we're doing really reflects the community. And we already have a couple people who have volunteered in the K to 2 grade bands and 3 to 5. And those parents are all white. So I think it's really important that we make sure that we have the Black families represented too. So if you know families who might be interested, please let us know. It's going to be a couple meetings, and some of them may be longer. Like there was an email today that I saw that the first initial meeting could be 3 hours long. So I just want to be upfront about, I don't think there's going to be a lot of those, but
upfront about
we need to be aware that could potentially be longer. And so just make sure you have capacity for that. Obviously, I don't want to surprise anyone with the time commitment, but I was kind of surprised by that 3-hour number. But I think, we just really want to make sure, and Monique and I have talked a lot about this, that like in all these aspects that we have everyone's opinion and input. And there will be later down the line, this is very, 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 very initial stages, there will be opportunities for the entire school to give feedback. So that exists. So this is just like what are the main priorities? What do we want to see? What are like some high level ideas? Because we need, we do need like guidelines to even get started and to even start fundraising or to even start grant writing. So we do have to do some of the planning, and that can change later. But we need some initial ideas of what we want. And I think right now, one of the most recent things I've seen is they're hoping to fix the existing playground, not like completely tear it down and redo it, which I think is good. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we are on that.
Yeah, so if you're aware of someone who would be willing to, or the playground is a big deal to you, or you use it over the summer, that sort of thing, those families who really spend a lot of time on the playground, it would be awesome to have just that kind of input as we are planning for what it will look like. Next slide, please.
Can I just say something really quickly?
Go
One
ahead.
thing that we might want to consider, especially if we're looking to maybe reach families that might not otherwise get our stuff, is to maybe hang something in the playground that says that we're trying this, and if people are interested, let us know.
For sure. Yeah,
That's a great idea.
yeah, that's a great idea, because the initial stages is just like a working group, like 10 to 12 people who are going to like sort of like problem solve some of the big stuff and sort of think through what the plans are, and then want to get like further input from more families. So we want to just make sure that we are hitting all those folks. So I think that's a great idea. Jamie, I will not remember, but since
I think,
you take good notes,
and
you would think to do that. Just
I can try to put one up tomorrow. The other thing I'm thinking is I was just looking at an email. So I do think we have 2 K-2 parents. We need another 3 to 5 parent. And I think Principal Hall was going to take care of the 6 to 8 kids, but I can ask him whether he has like students. I mean, it'll be right next year, 6 to 8th graders. So if he has like a couple students, because it's also going to be potentially hard for them to participate over the summer or even know.
yeah,
We'll have to talk about that.
we can do.
Yeah,
we'll talk
and maybe
about
we
it.
get 1 parent and 1 student for that grade band.
Yeah.
But so I really think what we're looking at is we need 1 more 3 to 5
family. So
Yeah.
you know of someone, I will try and reach out to some families also. But I think regardless, even if we put the information up around the playground, I think that's another great way to sort of say, hey, these are the things HSA is doing. Because if we go to the next slide,
Yes.
talk about summer project activities. So, volunteering. Yeah, let's do that, because I know Lauren has, let's do summer projects and then we'll go back to volunteer opportunities, because I know Lauren was the one who came up with this toy sale fundraiser in the book swap, and I want to give Lauren a chance to say that because I know she's got lots of things going on. Lauren, are you
Thank you.
off mute to talk about your thought around the toy sale?
Yeah, so in fact, I just got 2 emails today from High Point Cafe. They are excited about us participating on June 27. They're having a yard sale as part of these new Sunday markets that they're having from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Sunday starting this weekend. Once a month, the market will include a yard sale. They said if we want more than 1 table, just let them know. They won't charge us anymore. Plus, they said for each of these, I don't know if it's just the yard sales or the markets in general, they're going to pick a charity to benefit, maybe from their personal sale, like a portion of their personal sales that they. So they said they'll make the day we're there benefit for the Philadelphia Public Schools. So
Awesome.
throw that in. Yeah, which I thought was really nice. So I'll just have to figure that out with them as far as they make it for the schools in general, or whether they want to make it for the, the West Mount area public schools, and we share with Henry. I'll see what they want to do. But if we can, and I can write something up, if we could send something out to the families to say they can bring toys that day that are in good shape to the table, or drop things off to my house beforehand. My only concern is if we get a ton of stuff and then I'm like trying to haul a lot of stuff down there. You know, I'm willing to staff the table if someone else wants to, you know, if a couple other people could volunteer with me, that'd be great. And then I figure we can also just have a collection jar for people who want to donate. And I thought we could target it to the library, because that's like a feel-good thing that people would want to donate to.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're just any toy that's in good shape that you would
Mhm.
be willing to get rid of that's either underage for your little one or they
Yeah,
more thinking about all my son's Thomas toys. We used to love
yeah, I have
happened.
plenty for the kids
Ooh,
to
that's
go
a
through.
high dollar toy
It
right
I
there.
know. We
is.
used to love Thomas. We don't love Thomas anymore. And I'm like, well, I spent lots of money on those trains.
Yeah.
I like them. But anything like that. So on the 27th, and we'll get that information out. We're going to put it on the Facebook page. But Lauren, if you could get that written up, that would be
Yep.
awesome. And maybe we can figure out a way for folks to bring it maybe next week, bring things and send out a reminder through Class Dojo or something when it gets closer to the date, just because
Mhm.
we're school by then.
Yeah.
Awesome. For that fundraiser. And then the other summer thing we're talking about is the summer reading book swap. Just to get rid of some of the books that are in our houses that maybe our little ones are not into anymore or they're too big for them, and try to swap those things so that families can have like additional books in their homes. And if they, you know, whatever doesn't get swapped or taken, we can donate. So that's not a problem, but it's just a way to bring the community together. Do we have a date for that? Did we set a date for that?
We don't have a date for that. We had initially been looking at early June, but then we started talking about pushing to July. I don't know where we landed on that.
Yes, we haven't landed on a date, but it is something we would like to do. If it's something that somebody is like, oh, that sounds great, and I'd really love to like do that or help plan that, we would love for somebody who, you know, to want to get involved and kind of spearhead that. It's not really to make any money. It's really just to connect the community over the summer and something for the kids to do. So if that's something you're interested in, please let us know.
And it might, I mean, we can talk about dates, but maybe August is good, closer to the beginning, like maybe early August, closer to the school year. And Principal Hall also talked about like making it a community day, and, you know, having like popsicles for the kids and, you know, bringing the speakers out and just making it a little bit more of a day for people to just connect, since we didn't get to do much of that this year.
Yeah, no, none of the big stuff you have done before. Okay, back to the slide about the slide previous. All right, so volunteer opportunities. We are going to once again try and launch Classroom Parents, which did not happen in the way we expected it to because, well, we were not in buildings for quite some time, and it made it really challenging to sort of develop that. But we want to start next year off strong with this concept of Classroom Parents. And so we want to make sure that we advertise that really strongly at the beginning of the school year. We're going to send something out, or we should send something out before school ends and say, hey, if you are interested in being a classroom parent, or being a classroom co-parent, or whatever that looks like, if that's not something you want to take on for just yourself, we are going to share that. We would love it if that could be shared more widely with more parents. So if you know people who are wanting to volunteer or who's saying like, I'm not really sure how I can like work myself in, this is a great opportunity. And so we will be launching it. No problem, Lauren. We'll be launching it really strongly in the fall, but we will send some information out in before school lets out so that folks can sort of get it on their radar. And then we already talked about the committees for the playground working group. So we talked about that. All right. I think that's it. Anything else with the volunteer opportunities? No, that's it. Okay.
Did we, yes, did we talk about getting route clearances? Sorry, I was.
Oh, clearances. So I'm saying this because it's being recorded. I think most of the people on here have their clearances. If you are volunteering at the school, you have to have your clearances. We can help you through the process. It is not a super invasive process or super challenging process, but we can help you kind of work through the process about getting clearances. And I think parents have to have clearances. I think it's every 5 years, but I am not positive. So if you had clearances before, you should be in good shape. But if you are, if it's been 5 years, you will need additional clearances. But if you need them, we can help you get them. So if you want to volunteer, if you want to help, then we can absolutely help you get them.
Also, my hack for the there's like a video that the district makes you watch, and then you have to take a little quiz. You can watch it in like 1.5 speed. Highly recommend.
Highly recommend all training.
Highly recommend
in 1.5 speed, because yeah, all the trainings. There's lots of
yes, you will pass the test at 1.5 speed. So don't worry about that, and it will really cut down on the time.
For sure.
Sorry, I bumped my mouse and PowerPoint went crazy.
No worries. So I think we're good on the classroom parents. We can send information out if you know parents or want to connect with them. Next slide after that. Wait a minute. Next, uniform survey. So uniforms, it has been proposed with the support of Principal Hall, which is a shift, by the way, that Houston not have uniforms next year. There has been a survey that went out. I know CJ took his survey in class today. I know it went home to families. I don't know if all teachers did it, about whether or not we should have uniforms. I will say that it is an equity issue. That is Principal Hall's standpoint. Not all schools have uniforms. Not all school district schools have uniforms. They are not necessarily required to do so. Most schools that have uniforms are in poorer neighborhoods, and their rationale is not the most equitable rationale. And so that was his rationale around uniforms. But please take the uniform survey. I will say that my 3rd grader was extremely excited about the concept of not having to wear his uniform. I will say that I had some feelings about not being able to just go buy 5 pairs of pants and 10 shirts and swap them out and wash them every week. But I also understand that it's really important. That's one of the ways that our kids get to be individuals and sort of show who they are. And so it's really important. I remember Principal Hall said in a meeting, he said they were just so happy to just be able to wear their, pink shirt to school, and the things that they get excited about when they don't have to wear uniforms. So we're just encouraging you to please take the uniform survey. Check with your child, see if they took it in class. I know 3rd grade did with Miss Renfro. I don't know if the other grades have done so, but have your child take it and you take it too. Just so that we have transparently, the uniform survey is really just a decision to not wear uniforms. Anybody have any questions about the uniforms or any thoughts on that? Awesome. Yeah.
When will we know?
So Claire, to be transparent, I think the answer is no, there's no uniforms.
Oh, good. Okay.
That is the answer.
I just want us to feel like we had input.
I think he wants the district to feel like he asked for parent input instead of making the decision.
Okay.
I think it just.
I hope they didn't ask my kid and then they go back to uniforms. But okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's a high possibility at all that
Okay.
go back to uniforms. Yeah, my child is super excited. I don't know. It's been in uniform since he's been in school, so I don't really know what life is gonna be like. I'm thinking about planning for clothes the night before and all those other kind of things that I haven't had to do, but he's excited, and I think the kids are excited, and it creates a different environment for sure. Next, reopening concerns. Not sure if anybody has any, but we wanted to open the space. If anybody has questions about reopening, that which we know, we will share with you. And that which we don't know, we will certainly take back and then send responses out. As of now, the district plans to be open 5 days a week. And our kids will have a typical schedule. As of now, nothing should be changing with our school schedule. It should still be the same schedule that we had in years previous. So as of now, we're still what? I think it's 8:20 to 3:09. Is that our schedule? Our in-person schedule? 8:20.
8:15 to 2:54.
There it is. 8:15, 2:54. The number of contractual school day is the same. So if it was 8:20, it'd be, yeah, it's contractual minutes are the same. But we should not be changing our school schedule at all. Any questions, concerns? We can answer what we can, and if we can't, we will get the answer and get back to you.
So is the expectation that all of the safety protocols will still be in place, masks and all of those things, but just 5 days a week?
So I am not sure about the masks. I think the safety protocols, aside from masks, I think are for sure. I think that from a school basis, they're waiting for the district to give them more information because the CDC's guidance is changing around spacing and social distancing and masks and things. And so I think that there's just not a solid response. I think they're going with whatever they've been doing is what they will do until the district tells them something otherwise. So if that information comes out in any way or gets developed, we will absolutely post it once we know if there's something different, like kids don't have to wear masks or whatever the case may be. We don't really know what it will be. But yeah, I think that's a district-wide sort of like the safety protocols are sort of mandated from 440. Any other questions around reopening or what that will look like? I know I'm excited because we'll have an art teacher. So we will have 5 specials. And so expect there to be some changes to the way scheduling happens. I'm not sure if your child is in 2nd grade, you remember when they used to have a block of specials every report period. So they would have like STEM for the whole whatever and whatever. I'm not sure what that will look like scheduling wise. That is a Miss McKenzie question, and I am sure she is not ready to answer quite yet. 5 specials really usually means that you have 1 special a day, but it doesn't have to mean that. So
I'm on the HSA call.
So
I actually did ask her. I don't even remember when. She said they're going to try to do it. I mean, don't hold her to this because I'm sure they're still figuring out schedules. But she said they were going to still try to do it in blocks so that the kids are kind of working intensely on projects within that special. So that they so it's not just like once a week.
yeah.
Oh,
So
great.
see how that
Yeah,
works out.
sorry. Yeah.
Hey, Nuri, you're not muted.
Oh, she is now. We got it.
Okay.
I have a question. Will they need anything for the new art program by the fall?
Each class gets a budget.
Mhm.
So the art teacher will have a budget. But honestly, until we know who the art teacher is, like, we're not going to really know what they need.
Mhm.
But once we find out if that's something like if there's a need that the art class has, or if they want supplies or additional supplies, things like that, I think we are sort of ready to jump in to do some of those things if that is something that they find that they need. Because it really depends. Like if we have a seasoned art teacher that has like all their own, things they brought with them, they make a lot of things. And then, we may have somebody who's brand new who just doesn't have all those supplies. So we don't know yet what they need, but they will have a budget to get a certain
Set up a room and everything.
Yeah, to do the setup and have a certain amount of things. I know that's budgeted, but I just don't know what they might need outside of that. I remember when Miss Buckinevich came and like she did some, donors chooses for some of the instruments and some of the, and we kind of made sure that those things happened.
Okay.
Relatively quickly. Any other questions around reopening? Anything you're not sure about, or you're like, I don't know what it will be. What we can answer, we will. And if we're not sure, we will ask.
I have a question. When do we find out our teachers, and do they do anything over the summer? Like, because my daughter was kindergarten this year, so they do like they did like a virtual interview. Is it just you just go through and then show up on day one for first grade?
So they don't do virtual interviews or anything for anything other than kindergarten. Kindergarten, well, not virtual. It used to be kindergarten had interviews in person.
Mhm.
So there's no like over the summer sort of thing. It used to be that you could find out your child's teacher on the last day of school, like it was on their last report card.
Mhm.
I am not sure because of rostering for like COVID concerns, and to Lauren's point about like what are the protocols of like how many kids per classroom, things like that. I am not sure if they will be able to know that then. But we can ask if they are going to re-roster. They typically do. It's usually that the last day when teachers are there and kids are not.
Mhm.
They sort of re-rank and roster kids back into to classes. That's usually what happens and cohort them, but I'm not for sure when we will know, but we will ask that and share it.
There was a point this year where we could see them on Dojo, I want to say in August.
Yes.
So in Dojo, at the beginning of August, they started assigning kids to their next year's class. But I will also say that the previous year, we were told that our child was having one teacher, and on the first day of school when we showed up, she was moved to another class without anyone telling us. So I don't know whether that was just some weird glitchy thing that happened or whether that's something that happens all the time. But we actually chose not to tell her who she was assigned to for second grade because it was someone she knew and we didn't want to disappoint her if that happened again. So I want to throw that out there too, that if
Kind of the thing
if
that
your
we do.
child is specifically hoping to get somebody, and there's some chance that they're going to move them between classes, then it might be better to hold off until you're really sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All that stuff is movable right up until the days before. It could have to do with like how many students with IEPs they have in the classroom, who needs to be pulled at what time. There's lots of like moving parts to that. And so for the most part, it is relatively stationary, but there are chances that those things could move. So, but we will ask when parents should kind of be able to know who the teacher might be or that sort of thing. Or if they're second going to third, they get both teachers. So there's that. Like, yeah. So third grade is what they call departmentalized. So if they're second going to third, they are departmentalized. So they would have both teachers. They would just have one teacher for homeroom, but they would see both teachers every day. Any other things around reopening or questions around school start?
I had a question. This is Nuri. Sorry, by the way, sorry about that before.
No problem.
But I had, well, maybe a thought and a little bit tagged on to this last topic, specifically on classroom parents. If we can partner with the teacher at obvious.
Narit, you're cutting out.
Hopefully, like, oh,
So
sorry. Okay. Anyway, just my point is, if no,
That's better.
Oh, and she muted. So is there anything else? And then if Narit is able to come back on, okay. She said she'll message us. Okay. I understand. It's like somehow it's like just at the time that it's gonna like mess up right when you get ready to talk. Any other questions or thoughts around reopening? All right. And anything else? I'm looking at the agenda. I'm trying to look at it ahead of listening session. So is there anything else? We are really here to help you. Okay, around getting teachers to help us recruit for classroom parents. I think that is like the time. So what we can do from our end is when the teachers are sending out those beginning of the year emails like, hey, I'm your child's teacher, And also, I need classroom parents. If you have capacity, please volunteer. I think we can kind of give teachers that information and ask them to do that. I think for middle school, it's probably a good idea to do it by, not by department, that's not the word I'm thinking of, but like the kids cohort. So like the sixth graders sort of like rotate, so we can figure out whoever wants to chair, making sure that that information goes out to families, or if they want.
Homeroom parents? Do they have homeroom parents?
Well, they have homerooms. So we're thinking.
I meant homeroom, so then a
however,
homeroom
yeah,
parent.
if they want to
Yeah.
have like each teacher gets a classroom parent based on their department or whatever. I think it depends on how our middle school will end up being structured, and that depends on the number of students. They are getting, when CJ first started, the fourth grade class was really small. So those would be the upcoming middle school sixth graders. That cohort of kids was really small. I don't know what that means for how the departments look for middle school. They're able to departmentalize, so like a teacher could be teaching sixth grade and seventh grade math, that sort of thing. But we can do it by homeroom for middle school. But yes, as the emails go out to say, hey, I'm your child's teacher and I need classroom parents. I think that's a great idea, Narit, to make sure that goes through.
Can I ask, you may have gone over this before because I was late, but what's involved with being a classroom parent? Is it actually volunteering in the classroom, or is it more just like someone that people talk to through the HSA?
I think the goal of classroom parents is to sort of be the point parent for, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in the classroom. I mean, if you have the ability and flexibility to do that, great. But it's really about sort of being the point person who says, okay, well, I remember when CJ started school and it was really, really hot. And we needed parents to just coordinate somebody to make sure that the kids had waters every day, like that had been like frozen bottled waters, things like that, to sort of help make sure that things run smoothly, the teachers have the things that they need, and that the kids have like a really well-rounded sort of like positive school experience. If you can volunteer in the classroom, that's wonderful. But if you're not able to do that, it's still just a point person that sort of gets communication out to HSA, gets communication back to us also. So like if you have parents that are having some concern, they can't come to the HSA meeting, but they know if I talk to Claire will ask, Claire will make sure that they ask this question or find out this information. I think it's just sort of putting like hands in each classroom, which is a better way to sort of make sure that our community stays connected. It's really hard to do.
I was also,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say, I also think that it was like, I was also thinking, or we were also talking about it being someone who could even help the teacher with things. So maybe not be in the classroom, but if the teacher's having like a Halloween party, I feel like a lot of times they do a lot of that on their own and they really shouldn't have to. So could we help the families coordinate so that like everyone brings pretzels, someone brings pretzels, someone brings a case of water, right? So for stuff like that. So some of it's just that coordination. And then some of it is more like the communication. So it can be kind of both.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And like when you're sending out the email, people might not always know what a classroom parent is or does. So they might not realize that it's something that they would be able to do. So
in one of the drafts of this, we've had a couple, we definitely had a description. So we'll make sure that there's
right before the pandemic, like the
Yeah,
week before the pandemic, we had job descriptions hammered out for classroom parents.
And now, no, I think
oh, you know what? I bet it's the storm coming in.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather is getting really nasty. Any other questions?
So we have those ready to go when we kick back off.
Yeah, it's cutting out. But yeah, we have all of that sort of ready to go. Like we were like ready to be like, yes, we're gonna start in September, classroom parents. And then we just did not go back into the buildings after that. And it was like, oh wait, how do we do that? So for sure. Any other questions, things that are on your mind that you're like, man, I really wish our school would do, or really wish our school had, or any concerns you have?
I just have a quick question about the background, doing the background check process. How long does that typically take? I did it years ago for my son, so I know that's all expired and I would need to do it new again, just to get an idea of how long.
You essentially, as long as you have applied for them, you are good to go. Like the longest anything took, I think, was like fingerprints. And I think that was like 20 days, but I think it might be faster now.
Okay,
But don't you only need to get the fingerprints if you've lived outside of Pennsylvania in the past?
You're right, Emily. I forget these things. So
It's the past some number of years. So I had to do it because we just moved
10
for-
years.
in it's 10 years. So like we just moved back to Pennsylvania 4 years ago. So I had to do it. But I know that not everyone had to. And then the other stuff like the Pennsylvania, there's like the Pennsylvania clearance is like immediate. So you fill out, your name and social security number, and then it's immediate. Then there's a couple district training things you have to do. It's like maybe, I know there's that one. Is it more than one? It's not a huge amount of time.
okay,
It's really not. It's just a matter of like doing it. And if you go, we will, I think we're planning on putting this on the website, on the Facebook page, and we'll try to send it out to everyone. But there's a link on the school district of, I think you can Google like school district of Philadelphia clearances, volunteer clearances. Like it's there, it's accessible. They give you a list of all the things you need. It's pretty simple.
okay. Thanks.
yeah, not a whole lot. Any other questions, thoughts, anything that you're like, man, burning, or even if it's not burning and it just came to your head? And if not, we are up. See, there's Jamie's Wi-Fi went out. Oh, and she's back. So if not, we are really grateful that you all joined us this evening for our last HSA, school is out. As I said before, grades go in at midnight tonight. If something is wrong with your child's grade or something is really burning and concerning, it is possible that things can get shifted if you need them to, but grades go in at midnight tonight. Yes, that is a whole week and some change before school lets out. It is like that every year. So just, we made it through a whole year of pandemic school. Your kids were home with you at least part of the time. So thank you all so much. Any other thoughts, questions before we head out and try to stay away from the rain?
I just want to say thanks for all the participation this year. I know it's weird and hard and no one wants to be on Zoom anymore. But it actually worked really well. I think we had better participation this year than we had at in-person meetings last year a lot of the time. So we'll probably maintain this, at least, most of the meetings virtually, because it seems a lot easier to do it that way. So thanks to everyone who we survived. Thanks for making it as good as we could get it this year.
That's right. They survived pandemic school.
Yay.
And 5 days a week. Oh,
Yes.
last thing. If you know somebody who runs an after school program or before, or a school who has a before or after school program already in their building, please reach out and give us their name. We are trying to find an in-building after school program, and it's a lot of loopholes to jump through. And if they are already in a district school somewhere else, it is easier. But we would love for our kids to be able to go somewhere, to be able to stay in the building until their parents could come pick them up.
Yeah, believe us, it's so much better when they're
I'm
just
tempted
there.
to call MES again and be like, don't you love us? Come back, please. Because I miss.
Do you think that
Didn't
Principal
they
Hall
lose
would
their
take them
certification
back?
though? Isn't that why we?
I
didn't
don't
put in their
know.
paperwork?
Maybe they got it back. I don't know.
Well, but maybe they got it back.
I'm hoping. I have hopes and dreams. Not that MES was not perfect, but inconsistent.
The district doesn't have a list if they require them to be certified.
We've asked the people. You asked that.
Funny that you mentioned it. So I went to one of the focus groups for the in-person learning thing that the district was doing, and I asked that specifically of their VP for operations, who said, goodness, that's a good idea. Yes, it is a good idea. She also said that they're basically, because because there was this sort of year-long lapse of anyone being in the buildings, that they're kind of rebuilding from scratch and recompiling their lists of like whose certifications are up to date. And she said that when they had that, they would make that available. Now, what's the timeline on that? Who knows? But I do think that we can start putting pressure on that office to make that available.
Jamie, please remind me. CJ's dad now works at 440. I will have him go knock on the door. Go ask them. Go ask them.
I feel like it's in
Yeah, that's
all
a
of our
great idea.
best interest to make sure that we have aftercare at our school next
Yeah.
year.
I really agree.
Yes. Yeah.
It definitely made things a lot easier when there was in-school aftercare.
And you know what? This is
And it
how
made
we
it
found
possible.
each other,
There
by the
are-
way.
Right.
Most of the parents I found that I know because their
Exactly.
kids was MES.
Yes, exactly. But also there
I
are
remember
some
the day
really
I met Monique, she
things that
gave a
happen
teacher
at
stare.
Houston. There are cool things that happen at Houston with Miss B and Miss Bush in particular that kids who go to out of school aftercare can't access. And so I would really like us to get back to a place where kids can actually access those things.
What kind of organizations, like if I were to try to look one up, what are they? Do you just look up at other schools what they have, or are there certain types of organizations that do this?
There are lots of different types. I know when I was teaching at Cornell, we had a community organization who was maybe like they were in the neighborhood, but they came and ran the after school program in the building. And so we had a community organization that did that. So sometimes like it was Oak Lane something, my goodness. It was just like a community sort of, I don't know if we have those in the or Northwest area, but like those sorts of places. Churches sometimes will, because churches
would be okay to have in public school.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If a church has like a volunteer community development sort of arm to them, sometimes they already have like the things in place to do that, that sort of thing. So it's really a matter of, or even if you know of like a really good daycare or a really good aftercare that already has all the stuff in place, we would just be asking them to just run part of their business at the school. That's also an option. I've seen like aftercares do that, and they run their aftercare in the building.
What about Miss Jordan's?
We definitely have them on the list because I think Asia's kids go to Jordan's, a couple others. Sometimes they don't do that because they're just from a capacity standpoint, like they can't be at the school and staff the school. They can they have more staff if they staff them at their own facility. But that's definitely something that is an option. Yeah. So anybody, or if you know somebody who goes to a local school, like I know Henry does not have an in the building aftercare.
Yeah.
Jinx might, or a parent at somebody else's school. Trust me, we have hit the Northwest parent page consistently regarding that, but thinking about like schools like AB Day or I forget the other school starts with an F, but they're further out, like closer to King High School, but still in the neighborhood. If they have aftercares, things like that, or any other schools.
Okay.
Mr. Day should really just start his own aftercare.
I mean, he really could.
He really could. I mean, he basically ran that one when he was doing it. So
I'm going to ask him. That's what I'm going to ask Mr. Day. Don't you want to run an aftercare? You should. And
that's not an option, just like the school just having its own, right?
So they would have, not the school. The school could not have it because they would have to like recontract teachers and things like that. It would have to be some outside entity that has the insurance and things to do that. But the school could have, like, the staff could work it, but but that's definitely something. I think the other thing I'm thinking about is if somebody knows a parent at, what's the school CJ used to go to? Cook-Wissahickon. Cook-Wissahickon has an in-school aftercare program that was grant funded some kind of way. How that works. But if somebody knows somebody at Cook-Wissahickon to reach out to figure out how they did that, that would be great. Staff sort of like MES. So there were people who worked it who were also there during the school day. But yeah, as much as that is sort of a pet project for us. It's not like on the list of things, but we would love to have happen. All right, 6:25, made it in just under an hour. As always, reach out if there's any questions. HoustonHSA@gmail.com, or anything comes up, or you can hit us up on social media, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. We are more than happy to reach out. And the question around teachers and when they will know, Claire, we will get back to you guys as soon as we find out. We'll shoot Mr. Hall an email and see if he has any thoughts on that. All right. Awesome. Have a great evening, dinner time, and stay out of the rain. It's going to be storming pretty crazy here in just a few. All right. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry about the messed up internet connection.